And I want you guys to keep touching on this. Do you guys see anybody stepping up in that role effectively that maybe can replace us? Because this is a big spot. This is huge for a lot of the pass rusher. I look at a guy like Jeff Gunter,
Mhm.
right, who has a real shot to really make a splash with a guy like a Cam Sample no longer in the fold for the remainder of the year. But is there anybody else that maybe you see on the roster? Or maybe there's a guy out there in free agency. We know the Bengals signed some people. Is there anybody out there that you think maybe could be an ideal fit for the Bengals, or maybe the person's on the roster? I know there's been a lot of Deshaun Maxwell talk, and I hope I pronounced his name right. Wrong, right? I usually say his name pretty wrong. But is there anybody that you're looking at right now, Evan? You're like, man, I could definitely see this person doing something special.
Yeah, maybe not something special, but yeah, I definitely think that you can get some snaps filled in from maybe Cedric Johnson, right? This is a late round guy. We know how many picks that they had this year, and we were talking about how are they going to fit all of these guys on the roster this coming season with making all these picks. Well, one way is the guy in front of you gets hurt and is out for the season. So, and also on top of that, he's an athlete and can probably offer you a little bit as a height, weight, speed guy on special teams. And especially as that kind of trends to having more big bodies out there. So I think that's a way that he could definitely make the roster and help out a little bit. As for any edge guys, I'm kind of looking out there right now. I mean, you're talking about a Carl Lawson, Charles Harris, Tyus Bowser. Yeah. Not quite anything that you're going to write home about. And obviously people have done with injuries and such in their own right. But
yeah,
any of those names jump out to you?
Not necessarily, but the point I was going to make is, Cam Sample's good. But like I said, his biggest strength and his big what he brings to the table is his run defense. But I still feel like the Bengals have enough in place, again, to get creative to stop the run. You can slide a guy like Chris Jenkins out there a little bit more. You can slide, Miles Murphy in there for those rundowns. You can even move BJ Hill out a little bit and throw in McKinley Jackson in the middle. There's, since he's pass rushing isn't his specialty, I think there's more ways to recover from losing a good run defender than there is a pass defender or a pass rusher, which is, where we already are super thin. So it's not that Cam Sample's not a big loss because, like you said, I'm a big fan of him and what he does. He's a really solid player. But at the end of the day, at least it's one of our depth run defenders, and I just feel like you can get more creative ways out of stopping the run than pass rush.
Yeah, above average PFF run defense grades each of the last 3 seasons. Yeah. So definitely a hit there for a defense that's already losing DJ Reader.
Yes.
They're definitely going to have some of these backup guys step up and really contribute and show that they deserve to be on the roster. And I think these coming weeks and preseason games are going to matter a lot for the back end of the rotation because obviously you have BJ Hill, how you have Sheldon Rankins. What the rookies do past that, and the fact that Zach Carter is kind of playing ahead of a lot of these guys in camp still is, I think says a lot about where the coaching staff maybe views things right now. But maybe a couple weeks in preseason will change that. We'll see it. It's done that for guys like Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara before them. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, there's honestly, I feel like for the first time in a while, we got a lot, there's a lot of roster spots up for grabs. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of bodies, there's a lot of talent. Which is a phenomenal problem to have, don't get me wrong, but it's it's just nice. That's a good problem to have.
Right.
Maybe we make the wrong decisions, maybe we don't, but at the end of the day, it's still a better problem to have than not having enough talent.
Yeah, I think that having this situation arise allows for a lot of other guys to step up, right? I mean, you can look at it. There's, as Evan would say, there's several ways to skin a cat. And I feel like for me, when I look at this, man, I feel like this is a spot for a lot of the guys that maybe were fighting pretty hard to earn reps, to earn time, to really stand out. I look at a guy like I look at a guy in Miles Murphy, who the Bengals obviously spent a premium pick on, who are all expecting to take the next step forward. You look at Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard has been dealing with injuries. At least last year he was. We know he went down in training camp a little bit. And this is a big spot for him to step up. This is a huge spot for him to step up. So when I look at it, man, I think there's a lot of things that I could – there's a lot of things that I can look for. And I can say to him, hey, you know what, man, this Bengals team can be cooking with grease, man. I feel very, very I still feel very, very good about the Bengals step, but I'll keep with the same tune that I've been saying since the offseason. I think I'm almost taking on the opinion that I'm from the show me state, right? And I need to see it in real time. I know there's a lot of hype about Joseph Ossai blowing up runs in practice, Joseph Ossai looking good in training camp, Joseph Ossai healthy. Can we put it all together though? Can we put it all together? And I hate to pick on that guy, but that was a guy that came in with a lot of hype. Obviously, he had injuries. He had a lot of. I think he was also unfairly treated at a point in time, not by the Bengals coaching staff, but just by the media. Obviously, with that whole Patrick Mahomes thing, and you do wonder how some of those things sometimes can affect the player's confidence and whatnot. But this is a huge spot for him. This is a big spot, a big moment for him to step up because let's face it, he came into a situation where he had to fight for time. He had to fight for it. He had to fight for an opportunity, and so this is just really, really going to be cool to see how this whole roster kind of turns up.